Anna moves toward action, and Rocco interrupts the worst thing she would ever do. Let us start with Anna and Britt, because this storyline is now at the point where the planning has ended and the doing has begun, and the only thing standing between where it is and where it is heading is a teenager who does not know he is standing there. The situation with Anna has been escalating all summer with the specific quality of something that was always going to get here eventually. Not because Anna is a violent person in her baseline self. She is not. She has spent her entire career being the opposite of that, but because the crisis she came back from France carrying was never properly treated. She presented recovery. She demonstrated functionality. She returned to her professional role and performed competence convincingly enough that the people around her accepted the performance as the reality. But Peter has never stopped. The hallucination that lives in Anna's mind does not respond to professional performance or social presentation. It observes everything, interprets everything through its own agenda, finds in every interaction the evidence it needs to push Anna further toward the action it has been building toward since she came home. Britt's outburst, the moment when she reached her own breaking point and demanded that Anna find some compassion for someone who was manipulated, coerced, exploited through a false medical diagnosis into staying silent about things she would never have chosen to be part of, landed in Anna's mind in the worst possible way. Not as the human appeal it was intended to be, as evidence. Peter took that outburst and reframed it immediately. Not someone in pain expressing genuine feeling, but someone without remorse performing victimhood. Someone who does not understand the weight of what happened and therefore deserves to face it in a way she cannot simply walk away from. The trap is being set. That is the development that moves this from threat to action. Anna is not just thinking about this anymore. She is preparing something specific and physical and real, a situation designed to remove Britt from the life she has been trying to rebuild and put her somewhere that Anna controls. The captivity scenario that Peter has been pushing, the idea that Britt should experience what Anna experienced, is taking shape in the world rather than just in Anna's fractured mind. And Britt, who wants nothing more than to move forward, who has her job back, who is trying to rebuild her professional relationships, who made an appointment with herself to reconnect with Rocco because she genuinely cares about how he is doing, has no information that should make her careful around Anna. She trusts the commissioner. She has reason to. Anna has been the version of herself that the world can see for long enough that the private deterioration has not become visible from the outside. Britt tracks down Rocco because she wants to check in on him. Since their time on the run together, they have not really reconnected. She helped protect him in a way that cost her something. She witnessed things that night on the pier that she chose to keep quiet. There is a bond between them that formed under pressure and that Britt values in a specific way. Not as a debt to be repaid or a leverage to be held, but as a genuine connection with a young person she likes and respects. So she finds him. And the reunion is exactly what it should be: warm, real, the specific quality of two people who went through something intense together and come out the other side grateful to find each other intact. Rocco processing everything that happened, the weight he has been carrying about that night, and about Jason taking the fall, and about the ongoing legal complications of all of it. Britt listening in the way she does when she is genuinely present with someone without judgment, with the specific kind of attention that makes people feel seen. And Anna, who is moving toward the trap she set, finds them there together. The presence of Rocco does not stop Anna through any dramatic intervention. It stops her the way human reality stops obsession, by inserting something warm and present and undeniable into a mental framework that has been abstracting its target. Britt sitting with Rocco is not the Britt that Peter has been constructing in Anna's mind. She is a person being kind to a teenager. She is someone who went out of her way to check on a young man who needed checking on. And Anna, who loves young people, who has spent her career protecting people who needed protection, cannot find the abstract target in the specific scene she is looking at. Peter is furious. The delay is not a resolution. The trap is paused, not dismantled. Britt walks away from that conversation, not knowing she walked away from something far worse. Rocco gives her a gift he does not know he is giving. And Anna goes home still hearing a voice that is not going to let this go. The urgency for someone to reach Anna, really reach her, understand what is actually happening, create the intervention she never properly received, has never been higher. Because the next time there is an opening, Peter is going to find it. And Rocco will not always be there. Sunny groups Ava and Drew together, and something unexpected begins. Now let us talk about Ava and Drew because the alliance forming between these two is one of the most dramatically interesting developments of the entire summer, and the way it was created, through Sunny's own words rather than through any design of their own, is the kind of storytelling elegance that this show does beautifully when it is operating at its best. Start with the poolside conversation. Ava and Drew in the same space, and a rapport developing between them that neither of them was looking for. These are not people who are natural allies in the way the show usually constructs alliances, through shared values or mutual affection or a long history. They are allies in the making through the specific recognition that two people have of each other when they have both been the person in the room that everyone else decided was expendable. Ava understands that position deeply. She has been Port Charles's designated villain for long stretches of the show's history. She has been the person people warn each other about. She has survived it through intelligence and calculation and the specific refusal to be smaller than she is just because smallness would make other people more comfortable. She does not apologize for herself. She does not perform redemption she does not feel. She simply continues, adapting to whatever the current situation requires. Drew, in this particular chapter of his story, has something of the same quality. He came back from months of paralysis, not softer but sharper. Not reformed but more focused. He is the person Port Charles is currently warning each other about, his promises of destruction, his revenge list, his controlled and patient anger pointed at people who hurt him. And there is something in that energy that Ava, who has been that person, recognizes. Then Sunny entered the situation and changed the calculation entirely. Ava was fishing. She was asking about Ethan, not because she was genuinely concerned about Sunny's involvement in anything specific, but because she is protecting a secret Ethan asked her to hold, and she was trying to understand how much Sunny knows and where the threat to that secret might be coming from. It was intelligence gathering disguised as conversation, which is a thing Ava does extremely well. Sunny's response, warning that anyone who threatens the people he cares about faces consequences, lumping Ava and Drew into the same category of people he is watching, was not what Ava expected. She expected him to deflect or to be vague or to give her nothing useful. What she got instead was Sunny telling her, in the plainest possible terms, that he sees her and Drew as connected threats. Drew, who was watching the whole exchange with the quiet attention of someone who is not yet ready to play his hand, filed away what he saw. Sunny's warning landed differently for him. Not as something that rattled him in the conventional sense, but as information. Information about how Sunny perceives the current alignment. Information about what Sunny considers worth protecting. Information about where the pressure is going to come from. And the byproduct of Sunny treating them as a unit was that they started behaving like one. The alliance that is forming between Ava and Drew is one that both of them will keep quiet for practical reasons. Nina distrusts Drew completely. Her feelings about him are not subtle, and they are not going to soften anytime soon. If Nina found out that Ava was not just cordial with Drew but actively partnering with him, the friendship between Ava and Nina, already under significant pressure from everything this summer has put it through, would face a strain it might not survive. Ava knows this. Drew knows it too for his own reasons. The alliance works best as a secret. But here is where the story takes its most interesting turn, because Ava's alliances have a pattern that the longtime audience recognizes immediately. The dangerous, complicated men in her orbit have a tendency to become more than strategically convenient. She is drawn to exactly the profile that Drew currently represents: intelligent, capable, operating outside the normal boundaries, carrying a controlled anger that is both compelling and genuinely frightening. The combination of those qualities with someone she respects and finds useful has historically, for Ava, produced something that goes beyond alliance. The fans who noticed something between Ava and Drew in those poolside scenes were not misreading it. Something is there. Whether the show develops it depends on 100 factors that are still being determined. But the chemistry was not manufactured, and it was not incidental. It was the beginning of something that the writers appear to be aware of and appear to be letting breathe. Nina would be devastated. Not simply because Ava betrayed her by getting close to Drew, though that betrayal would be real and significant, but because the specific nature of what Ava would be doing, partnering with, possibly developing feelings for, the man whose paralysis Nina was complicit in maintaining, would collapse multiple layers of trust simultaneously. Ava knowing Nina's secrets, being in Nina's confidence, choosing despite all of that to align with the person those secrets are most dangerous to. That is a betrayal with depth. Ava rarely lets guilt slow her once she has committed to a direction. That is both one of her most compelling qualities and one of her most dangerous ones. She is capable of genuine feeling. She is not without conscience, but she has the specific ability to set that conscience aside when circumstances seem to require it. Whether this situation reaches the point where she is choosing between Nina and Drew depends on how far things develop and how much time passes before the choice becomes unavoidable. For now, the alliance is new. The spark is early. And Sonny, who created this through his own warning, is the last person who would want to know that his intervention produced something more complicated than he intended. The larger picture, and what these stories mean together. And now let us step back and look at what this week means as a whole, because the Britt and Ava Drew stories are not happening independently of everything else Port Charles is managing right now. They are part of a larger pattern, and understanding the pattern helps you see where all of it is heading.